What's going on, G-Ballers? I have something a little different for you today. We're taking a look at a new knife coming in from TacKnives. If this is your first time stopping by, welcome to GBall Vision. Drop a comment below. Let me know what your carry is for today. In my opinion, this knife right here is going to be one of the best, if not the best buys when it comes to an OTF in 2025 for the money. Let me introduce you to the new TacKnives Slugger. This just became available. I'll have links to it down in the description and in the pinned comment. We have a lot of exciting stuff to go over about this knife. It brings a ton to the table, and it brings stuff to the table that's even some premium OTFs don't. The Slugger here is going to retail for $89.95. We are going to be looking at vacuum heat treated D2 across the board. They're going to offer these in drop point, Tanto, and spear point. They're all going to have this nice stonewash finish. We're looking at anodized aluminum for the handle material. They're going to offer these in blue, black, and gray with a black G10 insert on both sides. And then we have a deep carry clip. It's recessed along with the screws, and it's going to be left-hand friendly with a filler tab. Excellent job on their part. The design of this handle is executed perfectly, in my opinion. The jimping along the side, a lot of companies really miss out on texturing the side of their OTFs. It is something that I believe is very, very important to do, because when your hand gets slippery or sweaty, you're going to find yourself sliding up and down the side of your OTF in a lot of cases. That is not going to be the case with this knife right here. That texture really gets a hold of you good. It's not overly aggressive, it just works. And the switch is well executed. The stepping on both sides, it's even, and it works really well. We'll get into more on the switch here in a moment, but we do have a nice take up here. You hit a wall, and it's going to be identical in reverse. You're going to have a little bit of take up, which is normal and is very good. You hit a wall there, and boom, that thing is going to close as soon as you cross the wall. Now, a couple of things that this brings to the table that other OTFs don't, at least that most other OTFs don't, okay, is this insert here on both sides. When it comes to using this knife, that is really, really nice. Now, I do like the texturing that we have on the EMPs here. That works really well. But we're also talking double the price, triple the price in terms of the Slugger here to something like the EMP EDC. So that is something I really like about this knife right here, is all the texturing and the design of the handle. You can tell that TacKnives, I can tell that TacKnives wanted to put out and make one hell of an OTF here with the Slugger. The other thing is, this knife is going to be over 9 inches long. We're going to get a closer look at some specs here in a moment, but this is over 9 inches. And even something like this Tecto here, which was my largest OTF up until the Slugger came in, the Slugger just, overshadows this on both ends, makes it look, like a normal size, when really it's a pretty large OTF. So that is something else that I really love about this. It's a large OTF that is done well, executed well. It feels good in the hand. The D2, so far, I've had this out of the box for about a week, and it feels it feels like it's good stuff. Time will tell. I'm going to assume with TacKnives, it is going to be a good quality D2. It is vacuum heat treated, which is what we want to look for in regards to D2. And D2 done well is going to give you very good edge retention. It's going to give you fairly good toughness and fairly good corrosion resistance. It does have the it can rust on you depending on circumstance and location, but we have a good stonewash finish, which will help with any type of rusting or corrosion, and a little bit of care will also go a long way, just keeping it lightly oiled up if you're not going to use it, or if you use it, keep it cleaned off, right? Just take care of your tools. I know there are some places where it's just going to rust anyway, okay? I do get that, but you can negate that, or, you know, you can keep that to a bare minimum if you take care of your stuff. And if you want to get a good quality OTF but not spend $100, $200, $300, this is going to be the best way to go, in my opinion, for the money. Now, the best news of all about this knife is I have a coupon code for my viewers down in the description that'll knock 20% off this bad boy. That is going to take this down to $75. And if you spend $70 with TacKnives, they will give you free shipping. So you're looking at free shipping and this knife going down to $75. You have 3 different blade shapes, 3 different colors, and you can go either which way with any one of them 3 on both sides. So you can do Tanto, spear point, drop point with any one of them colors. So really cool on their part. Now, before we dive into some of the specs, and then we're going to get into some comparisons of certain things that I want to try to show to you guys where this really stands out across the board, past the things we've already talked about. This is going to come with a full set of extra hardware for the entire OTF, from the clip and screws, filler tab, switch, even the internal spring and mechanism. So that is a nice touch. It is also going to come with a Kydex holster for it with a tech lock. Not that I'm going to use it, but if you wanted to, you certainly could, like that. Right there, boom, you got your OTF in your Kydex holster. You know, in my opinion, and you know, it is a cool, maybe this didn't cost them much to do, but I would say, you know, and this is getting really nitpicky at this point, but I would say if they could save $5 or on the end cost, that would, you know, I would say, you know, scratch this, right? If you knock $5 to $10 off for this, and you could get me this for 65 or 70 after a discount, I mean, that's just even more enticing, right? Like, give me the extra hardware and all the extra bits. But me personally, I don't really need this. You know, others might be different. I don't think that it's needed. And, you know, maybe this doesn't add much cost at all. But I think if it's more than 5, you know, if it's $2 or $3, okay. But if it's more than 5 to 8, you know, I'm saying don't even bother with this and just get the price even lower on this thing, you know, and $90 at full retail, that is a solid price for this. At $75, that's almost unbelievable that you can get this type of quality materials, build, and design for $75. That's just very impressive. As I said, I mean, just take a look at this Schrade here. Similar pricing, but just totally different monsters. And, you know, I don't want to pick on the Schrade. I really like this. And when it came out, you know, there isn't a ton of budget OTFs on the market. And this has never done me wrong, the Schrade. But you can just tell aesthetically that this does not live on the same platform as the Slugger. The specs: 3 3/4 of cutting edge, 4 inches of blade, 9 1/4 overall. So this is a big mamma jamma here. There's that tech toe again. As you can see on both ends, it is much larger. We have the Kershaw live wire here, and this is a good size as well. A good size OTF, the live wire, and the Slugger is just going to overtake that one as well. We have the axial shift, the sheep's foot Warncliffe edition, a good size here again, but just not anywhere on the same level as the Slugger. And of course, the tried and true Microtech Ultratech here, and you can see again, not even close. Then we have a couple of EMP EDC knives here. that are done through Axial. They are USA made. At least these two are right here. The sheep split here and the Tanto there. They also had one done by Best Tech, which is amazing. Very, very good for the money. But here again, not going to be on the same wavelength in regards to its size. Now, if you're not familiar with TacKnives, they put this little guy out here earlier this year, and it's an exceptional utility OTF. Very well done. I think tons and tons of people went out and got one of those. It has a lot going for it, similar to the Slugger here. So in regards to its size, if you're looking for a larger OTF, this is definitely going to fit the bill for that. Get our 50 ways baked in Hank out here, and we'll take a look at this pocket clip. It is going to carry fairly deep in the pocket. You'll have a little bit poking out, which is something that I prefer. That gives you a nice little bit of surface area to get a hold of this thing while it's in the pocket and pull it out. Good retention on that clip. It should be very easy in, very easy out. And look at all that room underneath there. That will fit in pretty much anything that you could think of to put this in. And the cherry on top, of course, is it does offer the left-hand tooling, so everyone will be covered. We'll go ahead and get the calipers out here and get a couple of measurements for you. 0.57 on the handle thickness, which is very nice. 14.6 millimeters. Blade stock is 3.2 millimeters. 130 thousandths. We'll go to the behind the edge. And OTFs are going to have a little bit thicker BTE, just that is their nature. 28 thousandths though behind the edge, so not too shabby. Let's see how the Slugger cuts. Now notice I didn't say how it cuts out of the box, and that's because I've been carrying and using this for about the last week on everything. So let's see how this D2 is holding up after about a week of cutting. Now, you know, I didn't cut 1,000 miles of cardboard or anything like that. Feels like there's a little something there. Right. No, maybe not. Maybe it's just me. I can't find my other magazine. I'm going to have to go get some more out of the bedroom. But I got some other ones that are like 3 years old, 4 years old, as far as our catalogs go. So don't worry. But this was the closest thing to me. Right there. Yeah, but this is, you know, not out of the box. This is, you know, been used all week long, but still has a screamer on 98% of the edge. There's a little spot right in there that it has a little bit of goof to, but also we are looking at a little bit thicker blade here because it is an OTF, so these weren't ever designed or supposed to be your slicer, your 1,000-mile cardboard cutter. That's not what these are for. That's not what they were intended for. So that is, to me, has always been the dumbest, stupidest shit I have heard. Some of the stupidest shit I've ever heard when it comes to the knife world. Talking about how an OTF doesn't have good cutting, you know, like knocking OTFs for not having the most brilliant slicing capabilities. That wasn't the intention for them. So it doesn't make sense to look at it in that sense, right? We have to keep things in perspective in life, and especially in the knife world. Keeping things in perspective will keep, I think that's a good bit of advice for you, to try to keep things in perspective in all ways, in all facets of life as well. Perspective is a big deal, in my opinion. You can feel free to disagree. So a couple of notes. Now, you'll notice throughout different OTFs, a lot of companies have tried different styles of jimping and so on. The Kershaw Livewire here is one of the best examples of a premium OTF that is done very well. Now, I would love it if they extended this jimping all the way down here and just give you even more added traction, but the switch is so well done that you just really don't need it. But here again, this knife is double or triple the price of this one. You know, I prefer this is what I'm saying. So I prefer this with this type of switch. Now, because this is such a large OTF, it requires a more robust spring and a more robust system. So you just have more power in here, and it's going to require a little bit more power to get that switch up. But you can see that even Axial here attempted something similar. I prefer this here. This does work well. This switch is also very, very nice. And the same can be said for the EMPs here. I'd love it if EMP would basically run that machining all the way around. I think that would give you really good, or at least on this side, right? Or maybe some finer stuff. I don't know how it could be incorporated. And as I said, though, this face jimping here, this face milling works really good when you're actually using the OTF. It is a little dirty, sorry about that. But, you know, this one works very well. The switch is also done very nicely. The Microtech here, you can see that the jimping on the back side, it's not really... It's in some good places, but I think it's a little too aggressive, where this is basically semi-aggressive. I think this is too aggressive, much like the switch. I think it should be ran, you know, in better sections if they're going to do sections. Now, I know this is an older Ultratech, so not a good example of what they're doing right now. But nonetheless, I think you can still get these, but this is just better. This is a better setup than all of these as far as the handle goes and how it feels in hand. Doesn't have the best switch out of all of them, and it doesn't have the best material for the blade, but vacuum heat treated D2, it's going to be user friendly. It's going to have good edge retention. It's going to be fairly tough, fairly corrosion resistant. We already talked about all that, I think, and it's just going to do the job. And if you don't want to spend a shit ton of money on an OTF, this is going to be the way to go over pretty much anything under $100 that I could find or that I have handled. You know, something like this Schrade is nice, but it's not anywhere close to as nice as something like this TacKnives is right here. So that is, you know, the best way that I can put it to you. I hope that helps you if you're looking for an OTF or you're looking to get a good value on an OTF. This is going to be the way to go, unless of a few things. If you have weaker fingers, you know, this might not be the best option for you, because it's not like it's hard. Like it's very easy to me, but it just requires a little bit more power than something like, you know, the Kershaw Livewire. Doesn't require as much power as that. Something like this, you know, they don't require as much because they're not as big. So that might be the only instance. Certainly if you can't own them, that's probably, you know, maybe not a good idea. You know, if you want to carry an OTF, don't listen to me. I'm going to cut that out of the video. What I used to do is, you know, Pennsylvania you could buy them, you could own them, you could use them on your property, have them on your property, but as soon as you stepped outside into the public streets, you couldn't have this anymore up until a couple of years ago. But, you know, did I listen to that? Did I not listen to that? You know, who knows what I did. Now the laws are different, but you'll have to let me know. What do you think of the TacKnives Slugger here? I look forward to hearing from you on this one because I am very interested. I know there's certain people out there who don't like OTFs for one reason or another, and I understand it. I am a big fan, and I get in like little spurts throughout the year where I'll carry an OTF for like a month or two straight. Then I might put it down for a month or two, put an OTF down, but I eventually pick one back up, and I just enjoy them. I think they're really cool. You know, if they're not something you're into, would I go out and buy 10 of them? No. If they're not something you're into, would I go out and get one of them or two? I still would. If I'm a knife fanatic, right? If I'm a knife nut and I can own an OTF, this is the type of OTF that you get right here, because it's going to give you a similar feel to these more expensive ones, but it's not going to cost you the same money, and you're still going to get great materials, great build, fit and finish, great execution. Excellent job from TacKnives. This thing has absolutely blown me away. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. And if you want to continue to see dope knife and EDC content just like this, make sure you're subscribed. I'll pop up a couple of new videos on your screen. Go check one of them out. Have yourself an awesome day. Thank you all again for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.